A spike in local COVID infections leads experts to warn the public is not taking the threat seriously enough. More students confirmed infected, but health authorities say there is no evidence of mass outbreak at schools. And Trump refuses to cooperate on a new stimulus package to help American economy ravaged by the pandemic.
Good evening and welcome. Hong Kong reported 11 new COVID-19 cases today, 9 of which are locally acquired, the most in 2 weeks.
Several are related to previous clusters, but the continued emergence of cases with unknown origins is prompting warnings about a possible rebound in infections. Kaina Chu reports.
The city's 9 newest local cases include 3 who stayed at Holly Mansion with a Thai person who was earlier diagnosed with the coronavirus. 2 of them also stayed at Royal Garden before coming down with the virus. It is worth noting that 1 also visited China Secret, a bar in Tsim Sha Tsui, on September 23rd. There, a 29-year-old customer testing preliminary positive is the latest among the 9 people to be infected. Authorities believe viral clusters from the 2 locations may be epidemiologically linked. Among the cases with unknown sources of infection is a 57-year-old resident of a home for the disabled in Kwai Chong. The facility has also produced 2 preliminary positive cases. More than 30 of its occupants and 6 staff members are in quarantine. Separately, 3 workers of a pharmacy in Mongkok are also infected with COVID. During the incubation period, 2 of them visited massage parlors in Kowloon City in Yaotong.
We are seeing the cases, some cases with unknown sources increasing. So it's a worrying situation. So we are afraid that there may be a rebound.
More patients with untraceable origins of infection, a student at Hong Kong Baptist University who began feeling sick last Thursday.
The university is very big, so we will offer tests for those who have shared the same classroom. According to our understanding, there are not much close contact between the classmates.
His brother, who attends Carmel Divine Grace Foundation Secondary School in Cheung Kwan O, is also infected. The siblings are residents of King Cheng House at Kim Ming Estate. The 2 imported cases are both from India. They returned on Monday on board flight AI310. Kaina Chu, TVB News.
With more students confirmed with COVID, fears are growing of a new outbreak at schools.
While authorities insist there's no signs of a widespread outbreak among schools, a government expert says people are starting to let down their guard.
2 of the latest patients who tested positive for the virus are family members who are at university and secondary school. The 19-year-old Baptist University student developed respiratory symptoms on October 1st, but only sought medical help 4 days later. The university will sanitize the classroom the patient has been to and switch some of the classes online. Meanwhile, the secondary school where his sibling goes to will fully implement online teaching for the next 2 days while the campus is thoroughly disinfected. Both students were involved in different social activities such as family gatherings and playing basketball with friends. Health authorities were asked about whether closing the campus for only 2 days is reasonable.
Students or teachers who have been to school during the incubation period, which is usually 2 days before the onset of illness, we would then suggest a suspension of face-to-face teaching for 14 days. However, if we know where the student got infected and they have not been to school during the incubation period, then they can suspend face-to-face teaching for only 2 days.
Meanwhile, a government expert says the public has apparently loosened its anti-epidemic awareness, causing infection numbers to rebound. Microbiologist Yun Kwok-yong noted he's seen many restaurants and customers violating social distancing rules with more than 4 people at each table. He also highlighted many patients did not seek medical help when they developed mild respiratory symptoms, making it difficult for authorities to trace them once there's a community outbreak.
Hong Kong begins its annual flu vaccination subsidy scheme tomorrow.
Eligible groups such as seniors, young children, and primary students will get more financial aid for their flu shots this year. But will this, together with the ongoing pandemic, encourage more people to get their jabs? Dong Yao-nie tells us more.
This fall and winter will pose a double threat to the public, a flu season during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's why the government is increasing subsidies for high-risk groups to get flu shots. This year, it increased the seasonal flu subsidy to $240 for each jab, from last year's $210. The scheme covers various groups, including seniors aged 50 and above, children under 12, primary students, pregnant women, and many with disabilities. Will this encourage more residents to get vaccinated? This lady said for sure she will do, to protect her kids from influenza. A clinic in Mongkok is offering flu vaccines at around $250 per jab. They've received more reservations from locals this year.
This month, lots of clients calling us and ask for, hey, do you offer the vaccine for flu? And so we are kind of like urgent to arrange the booking now.
He said that's partly due to the pandemic.
For the COVID-19 problem, everybody getting alert, more alert compared with back then.
Health authorities stress it's more crucial to get flu vaccines amid the COVID-19 pandemic because those who catch both illnesses simultaneously can be more seriously ill. Government health advisor David Hui also called on people to get jabs and avoid a double attack from the two viruses. Also starting tomorrow, the government will conduct outreach programs to kindergartens and children's health centers, offering free jabs for students. Primary students will also get free vaccines at school as early as the 22nd of this month. Other residents can get the flu vaccination at enrolled private clinics. Around 40% of them have vowed not to charge extra fees. Dong Yao-nie, TVB News.
Elsewhere, former Taiwanese President Lee Teng-hui was laid to rest today. Taiwan's current president, Tsai Ing-wen, attended Lee's state funeral, which was held at a military cemetery in the mountains outside Taipei. A memorial service for Lee was also held last month. Lee, who died in July at the age of 97, was Taiwan's president from 1988 to 2000. He became the island's first democratically elected president in March 1996.
U.S. President Donald Trump has called an abrupt end to negotiations with Democrats over additional COVID-19 relief for Americans.
The move to delay action on economic stimulus until after the election comes despite ominous warnings from his own Federal Reserve chairman about a rapidly deteriorating economy. Hours after returning to the White House, Trump changed course on coronavirus relief talks, instructing his representatives to stop negotiating a new aid package until after he wins the election. Critics say Trump is putting himself ahead of the country.
And we will have a stimulus bill, and he won't win the election, so we don't have to wait for that to happen.
He could say, I'm just trying to put Pelosi in a corner. And exert some leverage on her. But even that's a hard sell. That's the strategy here. He isn't leaving himself a lot of wiggle room.
The Federal Reserve chairman said if the stimulus doesn't come soon, the economic impact of the pandemic on the fragile economy could get much worse. Hours later, Trump appeared to back off a bit, suggesting he might be open to a standalone bill for stimulus checks. Trump's doctors say their patient has reported no symptoms since returning to the White House. Meanwhile, Trump's downplaying of the coronavirus by insisting he beat a virus he still has isn't playing well with the public.
I think he's full of it. If he did receive drugs that made him feel better, that doesn't mean the rest of us are going to be privy to those drugs.
It's just disheartening to say, you know, it's not a big deal, don't worry about it, because people should worry about it.
I don't think I can stand another 4 years of this.
Democratic challenger Joe Biden says he's looking forward to the next presidential debate with Trump, but that will depend on advice from medical experts.
Do you feel safe in the same room as somebody who still may have COVID?
Well, I think if he still has COVID, we shouldn't have a debate. Thank you.
Biden's campaign says he tested negative again for COVID-19 on Tuesday. The next debate is scheduled for October 15th, with a third debate slated a week later.
Meanwhile, White House senior advisor Stephen Miller has tested positive for COVID-19. It's the latest case of coronavirus reported among Donald Trump's inner circle since he announced he and his wife had the virus last week. Miller says he is in quarantine. A White House spokesperson says there are no new COVID cases in the White House besides Miller. Miller's wife, who is a spokeswoman for Vice President Mike Pence, tested positive for the virus in May. Republican Senators Mike Lee, Tom Tillis, and Ron Johnson have also tested positive.
New York State, that is, has ordered a new crackdown on COVID hotspots across New York City as virus cases there spike. The plan calls for dramatic action in affected clusters, which will be coupled with precautionary measures in surrounding communities. Much of Brooklyn and Queens will again have non-essential businesses and schools closed by the end of the week as the coronavirus surges. The new restrictions include limits on religious services, mass gatherings, and indoor dining in affected areas. New York faced one of the nation's earliest and most devastating outbreaks in the spring, but has since managed to largely curtail its spread.
And still to come on tonight's news. Education Secretary justifies deregistering teacher over independence material. 2 women win Nobel Prize for Chemistry. Welcome back to TVB News. Secretary for Education Kevin Young justified the decision to deregister a teacher who allegedly promoted Hong Kong independence out of the need to protect students. The deregistered teacher, who taught at the Alliance Primary School, reportedly made pro-independence teaching materials last year. Young says it is unethical to instruct primary students to take a political stance. Chung Yong-pong, honorary chairman of the Aided Primary School Heads Association, also thinks it's inappropriate to discuss politics with primary students. But he says public schools are not likely to conduct such discussions.
A local court has ordered a woman to perform 80 hours of community service after she threw a water bottle at a police vehicle last year. The case dates back to a protest last December when police were clearing roadblocks in Mong Kok. Lai Hui-ching then threw a water bottle at the police vehicle, which was leaving shortly before she was arrested. The 27-year-old pleaded guilty to attempted criminal damage. During mitigation, her defense lawyer noted that Lai is now capable of managing her own emotions. The judge also accepted the probation officer's recommendation and noted the comments are positive.
An HKU study has found that work placement programs can significantly help young people find a sense of purpose.
Our Jackie Lynn talked to some of them who have seen their life transformed by these experiences.
Teenage years can be a time of great expectations as young people explore what lies ahead in life. But for some, it's more a journey of disorientation than discovery. Like PF here, whose formative years were marked by more than just emotional turbulence.
I got autism after my parents' divorce, and I was having a very tough time during that period.
Similar woes beset Perry.
My dad passed away when I was young, so my whole family actually were supported by my brother.
In their darkest hours, both joined a program during secondary school that changed the course of their life. It arranged mentors and work placements for them. After working at the Highways Department in Form 6, Perry has set his mind on engineering. PF also found her purpose in life after interning at a TV channel. As one good thing leads to another, her flair in music and photography eventually culminated in a full scholarship that brought her to study in the U.S. for 1 year. A recent HKU survey found adolescents with these work experiences in high school felt more confident towards their future work and life direction.
They can now see themselves as part of the business community. This is very important. They are no longer in their own dream world. They will see the reality.
It's a finding that PF is happy to testify.
Something that I can't learn when I was studying in secondary school. So this program helps me a lot to know something more in the reality, not only dreams, not only is a thought, but it's a reality.
The Alliance says these internship opportunities are virtually absent in the current secondary school curriculum and education policies. It urges the government to provide more funding and support to programs like this. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Overseas again, 2 women will share the 2020 Nobel Prize for Chemistry for their work in genome editing. A technique developed by Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna has been described as rewriting the code of life. The winners were announced at the Swedish Academy of Sciences in Stockholm. Charpentier, who is French, and Doudna, an American, became the 6th and 7th women to win a Nobel Prize for Chemistry, joining the likes of Marie Curie, who won in 1911. They will share the prize money of 10 million Swedish kroner. A member of the Swedish Academy of Sciences said the technology developed by the pair has had a revolutionary impact on the life sciences. Their genome editing technique has contributed to the development of new cancer therapies.
Turkey's top diplomat traveled to Baku in a show of solidarity with Azerbaijan. This amid a flare-up in fighting in the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. Turkey's foreign minister criticized the international community's recent calls for a truce. He added that previous ceasefires failed to end Armenia's occupation of the Azerbaijani territory. Azerbaijan has repeatedly asserted that a ceasefire can only take place if Armenia withdraws from Nagorno-Karabakh. Heavy fighting in the region has been underway between Azerbaijani and Armenian forces since September 27th. On Tuesday, Azerbaijan said Armenia launched missiles at a strategic oil pipeline. Armenian officials rejected the claims while accusing Turkey of providing Azerbaijan with Syrian fighters and weapons. That's the news. Thanks for watching.
Bye for now.